How many different passwords do you have? Don't answer that question out loud, because that really would be silly. Tech experts are warning you and me against the dangers of using obvious passwords. With so many apps and websites requiring us to update our passwords regularly, many create simple credentials that are easy to remember. Of course we do. Otherwise we'd forget them and then we have to do it all again. But common passwords like 123456, password 1, or QWERTY, no, don't do that. Kevin Curran is our expert and a professor of cybersecurity. He's on the line now. Kevin, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
There is a problem with this whole password thing, is that you have to keep changing them, which means you have to remember them, and everyone wants a password these days, so you've sort of got to write them down somewhere.
It's not the worst advice, actually, because generally our adversaries actually don't come into your house. Generally, we're worried about people, Eastern Europe onwards, again, hackers, really.
Yes.
So it's called the evil maid, is what you're talking about, where someone comes into your house and sees things again. But it's not the worst idea, but of course, but really, the number one rule for passwords is to use different passwords on all sites. And ideally, you use a password manager, which creates complex, strong passwords. And then you only have to remember one master password. And then the password manager creates long, complex characters or passwords on all these other sites again, which are unique. Because the problem is, if a site such as BBC, you register for the BBC and it doesn't take any credit card details for iPlayer, everyone in the UK must do that. Mm-hmm. So say the BBC database gets leaked and kj.curran, my email gets leaked and my password. So fair enough in some ways. I don't have any credit card details stored with the BBC. I don't have any health information. However, if that data breach occurs and the passwords and usernames gets leaked online, what the hackers do is they don't worry about the BBC because they know there's no money there. What they'll do is you reuse my email and the password which I was using, the weak one on the BBC, and hence they will go to Twitter, they'll go to Amazon, they'll go to banks, they will go to sites which have my credit card details. And lo and behold, again, with a lot of people, they'll find that, oh my goodness, now 80% of people are reusing the password and then they're in. But of course, way around that again. So that's called credential stuffing. But of course, one of the most important things we all should do for our main accounts is to turn on that two-factor authentication. So that means when you log in, or if a hacker happens to get lucky, find your details and passwords and logs into a site, you will get a code on your phone saying, enter this code. And they don't have that. You're the only person with your phone. So you're the only person who can authenticate, and that protects your important accounts. Now, not every service out there offers two-factor authentication because it does cost companies money. A lot of money for those text messages because now mobile operators are losing out and they're increasing their charges for messaging. So this costs companies a lot. But any bank, every bank that we deal with right now or any of the major services all offer two-factor authentication.
I have to say that a couple of years ago when this happened, not another thing, for goodness sake. But now I do it. I do use two-factor authentication. And it's a very useful way, isn't it, of checking. Yeah. And I've had a couple of times, saying what you just said there a moment ago, Kevin, where I've had someone... someone's obviously had to try how to go because I've been asked to punch in a number. I thought, well, I haven't logged in, and I know the only other person who could log into this account is not available to log in. Obviously, someone's having a crack.
Exactly, and actually quite a lot. It's happened where an IT manager in the morning has sleepily moved over and touched the wrong button and let the hackers in rather than approve or not approve. They approve.
Yes,
that actually happens more than you think, but. In some ways, there's a little bit of help for people, again, who really get confused about remembering passwords again. So complexity is the key, really. But there actually is a thing called passkeys coming now, and Apple have rolled it out, where you don't actually have to type passwords into sites. What you're doing is when you unlock your phone or your iPad or whatever it is, you're authenticating your device, and therefore it will log into sites for you, and it creates unique passwords in each site. It doesn't pass them over the line. So passkeys are becoming more common and becoming cross-platform. So there will be a time where literally once you unlock your phone, whichever way you're using it, Face ID or your thumb, and literally then you go to the site and you're logged in and you don't have to create passwords anymore. That will become more common. But for foreseeable future, passwords will be around because it is something that humans, even though we do it poorly, it's still something that most people understand. Because, again, I couldn't tell my granny to use a password manager. It would be impossible.
Yeah, you'd be pushing water uphill, wouldn't you? I know I would be as well, but at least if there's some security or two-factor... I've got my 83-year-old mum using two-factor authentication because she uses a phone, so that's an easy thing to do, and that's made her feel an awful lot more safer on the internet than she did.
That's good, yeah. No, definitely encourage people again that... Again, you can try to incorporate some unique characters of a website into your password again. But everyone does the same thing. Everyone puts the numbers at the end. Whenever you're forced in the old days to update your password every few months, people just change the number at the end. And that was proven to be...
Make it the third iteration or the fourth iteration with the same word. I get you, Kevin, and I think that's all the things that we need to stop to protect ourselves. Kevin, Curran, thank you so much for joining me this morning and helping us perhaps with some ideas there. I'm very grateful to you.
You're welcome.
Kevin Curran there, Professor of Cybersecurity. Some sound advice there, a password manager, or indeed writing them down and keeping them safe, or most importantly, perhaps taking advantage of two-factor authentication when you are logging into websites that have got your bank details or credit card details. Round one, clue one of this morning's Noteworthy. That's where we are, but right now, ultra naughty.